and a very warm welcome. I am Gursheen Galan and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, I get you the top 40 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. We begin with the latest from South Asia. Massive anti-government protests is underway in Nepal's capital Kathmandu. The protests, led by Gen Z, are against a social media ban and what they call rampant corruption in the country. Protesters pelted stones and sticks, broke through police barricades and made their way through the parliament. Police used tear gas and fired dozens of rounds. Water cannons were also used to disperse the crowd. Several people have been injured in the protests. A curfew has been imposed in Kathmandu and army has been deployed. One terrorist was killed and reportedly 3 army personnel were injured during an encounter in the Guddar forest area of Jammu and Kashmir's Kulgam district. The operation began after the J&K police shared intelligence leading to a joint search with the army and CRPF. The army said troops observed suspicious activity, after which terrorists opened fire. Security forces believe 2 to 3 more terrorists may have been trapped and the encounter is still ongoing. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will represent India at the BRICS Leaders Summit later today. The meeting, convened by Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, will focus on tariffs imposed by the US President Donald Trump and finding a common approach to deal with it. Both India and Brazil have been slapped with 50% tariffs by America. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has voiced support for US tariffs on countries that continue business with Russia. In an interview, he said such measures were the quote-unquote the right idea, as Washington considers tougher sanctions following last month's Trump-Putin summit in Alaska, which failed to produce a breakthrough. Beijing has firmly opposed US President Donald Trump's decision to create a blacklist of countries that unjustly detain Americans, which could include China. In an executive order signed on Friday, Trump said the United States will now designate state sponsors of wrongful detention. A senior US official said that China, Iran and Afghanistan would be under review as they persistently participate in hostage diplomacy. US President Donald Trump has warned foreign companies to respect American immigration laws after authorities detained 475 workers at a Hyundai LG battery plant under construction in the Georgia state last week. The raid, the largest of its kind under Trump's anti-migrant crackdown, saw mostly South Korean workers arrested. Trump said investments were welcome but urged firms to legally bring your very smart people and hire American workers. LG Energy confirmed 47 of its own employees, including 46 South Koreans, were among those arrested. At least 4 people have been killed and 5 injured in a shooting attack in Jerusalem. The attack took place at Ramot Junction, located on northwestern outskirts of the city. The police said 2 terrorists were neutralized. The gunmen reportedly boarded a bus and opened fire before a soldier shot them. There has been no immediate claim from any armed group. Australian woman Erin Patterson has been sentenced to life in prison for murdering 3 relatives with a toxic mushroom meal in 2023. The 50-year-old showed little emotion as a Melbourne court ruled she would be eligible for parole after 33 years. The judge said her lack of remorse deepened the suffering of the victims' families. Patterson's case drew a global attention and she has 28 days to appeal. Argentine President Javier Milei's party La Libertad Avanza suffered a heavy loss in Buenos Aires provincial election, winning 34 against the Persin's opposition's 47%. Milei admitted it was a clear defeat but vowed to continue his fiscal shock policies. The result is seen as a major test ahead of Argentina's midterm elections next month. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez announced 9 measures to end the genocide in Gaza. He also announced an embargo on Israel and a ban on vessels carrying fuel for the Israeli army from using Spanish ports. Spain will also ban the import of products from what it says are illegal settlements in the Palestinian territories. He said the measures are aimed to stop the perpetrators of Gaza and support the Palestinian population. On to climate news now. In India, the Yamuna River rose above the danger mark in Agra on Wednesday. Waters reached the outer walls of the iconic Taj Mahal after heavy rains in the northern state of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. Meanwhile, several homes along the riverbank were flooded, displacing locals. Authorities set up a control room and placed the district on high alert to manage the flood risk. Strong winds and heavy rain lashed Hong Kong as tropical storm Tapa swept past the city. The storm struck on Monday, forcing the city to raise its number 8 storm signal, with winds topping 68 miles per hour. At least 2 people were injured and dozens of trees were knocked down. Hundreds took shelter in temporary centers while court hearings were suspended. Meanwhile, in southern China's Guangdong province, more than 100 flights were cancelled and train and ferry services halted ahead of the storm. In the United States, flash flooding wreaked havoc in downtown Charleston, sending South Carolina on Sunday. Several roads were shut after torrential rain turned streets into rivers. At least 4 major streets were completely underwater. Officials said the flooding was triggered by heavy downpours that swept through the city. Residents were warned to avoid flood waters and not to drive through submerged roads. The National Weather Service cautioned that similar flash floods could occur again. A municipality in central Mexico was on high alert on Sunday as the Centenario Dam overflowed. The dam reached at least 133% capacity after heavy rainfall. Aerial footage showed water levels surging far above normal. However, authorities said evacuations had begun in flood-prone areas to protect residents. The municipality entered the red phase of its rain emergency system as officials warned of more risks. In California, the Garnet fire continues to rage in Fresno County. As of September 7, the wildfire had spread to more than 36,000 acres. According to Sierra National Forest, it was just 14% contained as of Sunday morning. Ignited by lightning on August 24, the fire has burned through thousands of acres. Officials said about 2,000 crew members are battling the flames. Evacuation orders remain in place for several nearby communities. Meanwhile, firefighters also managed to save a grove of more than 200 giant sequoias. On to business and tech news now. Asian markets are trading mostly higher today as investors assess the resignation of Japan's Prime Minister and monitor key regional economic data. Japan's Nikkei gained 0.95% on today's early trade after Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's resignation on Sunday. South Korea's Kospi also rises 0.15% during early trade. Meanwhile, the small cap Kosdaq climbs 0.47%. Indian benchmark indices opened in green today after an exchange of positive comments between President Donald Trump and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Nifty Bank posts biggest jump of over 200 points after being under pressure during the last few sessions. And in the larger market, the mid-cap and small-cap indices outperformed the frontline indices. OPEC has agreed to further raise oil production from October as its leader, Saudi Arabia, pushes to regain market shares, while slowing the pace of increases compared with previous months due to an anticipated weakening of global demand. The oil bloc has been increasing production since April after years of cuts to support the oil market. But the recent decision to boost output came as a surprise amid a likely looming oil glut in the Northern Hemisphere's winter months. Following Sunday's announcement, oil prices gained more than 1%, trimming some of last week's losses. China's exports missed expectations but expanded 4.4% in August, with falling US shipments offset by a jump in those Southeast Asia and Europe. According to latest government data, exports to the United States continue to fall in August, sinking 11.8% from the previous month. However, shipments to the European Union jumped 10.4% and those to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations rose 22.5% during the same period. German energy firm RWE says that investor Apollo Global Management has agreed to contribute $3.75 billion for future power grid upgrades that arise from the company's stake in transmission system operator Amprion. The power utility company said that the partners would establish a joint venture of RWE's stake in Amprion to finance its future growth. Apollo will inject its equity investment upfront, and RWE will subsequently make reinvestments into Amprion through JV to support its grade expansion program. The United States is reportedly proposing annual approvals for exports of chip-making supplies to Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix's China-based factories. According to a latest report, officials in the U.S. Commerce Department last week presented a site license idea to Korean counterparts to supplant indefinite authorizations the chip makers secured under former President Joe Biden's administration. Uber and China-based self-driving tech firm Momenta announced plans to test Level 4 autonomous vehicles in Germany next year as the ride-hailing platform seeks to expand its robo-taxi footprint amid rising competition. Autonomous vehicles classified as Level 4 can drive without human intervention in specific zones and under certain conditions. And Uber has been attempting to establish a strong foothold in the robo-taxi industry through partnerships with companies including Alphabet's Waymo, as Tesla also expands its nascent autonomous taxi services. Internet connectivity in multiple countries, including India and Pakistan, was affected on Sunday due to a subsea cable outages in the Red Sea. Similar internet disruptions were also observed on networks in the United Arab Emirates, while concerns were raised over possible sabotage amid ongoing conflict in the region. It was not immediately clear what caused the incident. Google has reportedly started placing its in-house artificial intelligence chips known as tensor processing units in data centers operated by smaller cloud providers. These firms have so far been almost entirely reliant on NVIDIA's market-dominating graphics processors. According to a latest report, the tech giant has approached several firms including CoreWeave and Crusoe about hosting these chips. Hong Kong's largest crypto exchange Hashkey Group says it will launch its inaugural digital asset treasury focused fund with an initial target size of $500 million. The multi-currency fund strategy refers to public companies accumulating cryptocurrency assets to capitalize on higher token prices and a softening regulatory environment. Moving to sports, we begin with tennis. Carlos Alcaraz beat Jannik Sinner in 4 sets to win the men's single title at the US Open. Alcaraz captured his second US Open crown and 6th Grand Slam title, beat the Italian 6-2, 3-6, 6-1, 6-4. The 22-year-old ended Sinner's 27-match winning run at hardcourt Grand Slams. Alcaraz is now set to reclaim the world #1 ranking from Sinner. The Spaniard will return to the top spot for the first time since September 2023. President Donald Trump attended the US Open men's single final, drawing boos from the crowd and triggering a 30-minute delay due to heavy Secret Service screening. Many fans were stuck outside the Arthur Ashe Stadium when the game began. The upper rows of the arena also remained empty for nearly an hour. In Formula One, Max Verstappen won the Italian Grand Prix. Starting from pole, Verstappen overcame a fiery start with Lando Norris pulled off a daring overtake on lap 4 and never looked back. The Red Bull driver finished 6 seconds clear on Norris, with Oscar Piastri in third after McLaren ordered a late position swap. It was Verstappen's third win this season. India's men's hockey team and Asia Cup are champions again after 8 long years. The hosts beat defending champions South Korea 4-1 in the final at Bihar. Sukhjit Singh set the tone with a lightning-fast goal inside 31 seconds. Dilpreet Singh scored twice and Amit Rohidas added a drag flick to seal the match. South Korea fought back, but India's tactical switches and clinical finishing proved decisive. With this, the Indian men's hockey team secured a berth at the 2026 Hockey World Cup. In cricket, England crushed South Africa in their third and final match with the biggest margin in ODI history, a 342-run hammering. For hosts England, Jacob Bethel lit up the innings with a blistering maiden 100. Joe Root added another ton and England piled up 414 runs on the scoreboard. In response, South African began crumbling right at the start. England's Jofra Archer took 4 wickets as visitors crumbled for just 72 runs in under 21 overs. South Africa, having won the first 2 matches of the series, won the series 2-1. Sri Lanka beat Zimbabwe by 8 wickets in the third and final T20 match of the series. Batting first, the hosts put 191 runs on the scoreboard in Harare. Powered by Kamil Mishara's 73-run not-out knock, Sri Lanka chased down the total with 14 balls remaining. The Sri Lankan side returning home by clinching the series 2-1. Pakistan clinched the UAE Tri-Series final in Sharjah after beating Afghanistan by 75 runs. Pakistan put 142 runs on the scoreboard. In response, Afghanistan folded for just 66, their second lowest T20 total. Pakistan's Mohammad Nawaz backed a 5-wicket haul, including a hat-trick that ripped through Afghanistan's middle order. Pasnel Kimpembe left PCSG after 20 years at the club. The French defender joined Qatar's SC after struggling with injuries in recent seasons. A PSG Academy graduate and fan favourite, the 30-year-old made over 230 appearances and lifted multiple league titles. PSG hailed him as a major figure in their history. In chess, women's world champion Divya Deshmukh beat Egyptian grandmaster Amine Bassem in her very first game at Grand Swiss tournament. The 19-year-old, ranked 761st, took down world number 94 Bassem. The Egyptian had the edge early on, but Divya turned the tables with precise play to clinch a famous win. In archery, Indian men's compound team of Rishabh Yadav, Aman Saini and Prathamesh won the country's first ever gold at the World Championships. The Indians beat France by overturning a 2-point deficit in the opening set to seal a thrilling 235-233 victory. And finally, in entertainment news, highlights from the MTV Video Music Awards. Ariana Grande's Brighter Days Ahead snagged Video of the Year, while Lady Gaga took home the night's top haul with 4 wins, including Artist of the Year. Sabrina Carpenter claimed 3 Moon Person trophies, including Album of the Year for Short and Sweet. Special honours went to Mariah Carey for Video Vanguard and Busta Rhymes for Rock the Bells Visionary. The VMAs also debuted 2 new categories, Best Pop Artist and Best Country Video. The 2025 Creative Arts Emmys wrapped up with plenty of star power. PB as himself lead the pack with 4 wins, while Saturday Night Live and The Traitors followed with 3 each. Former President Barack Obama picked up his 3rd Emmy for narrating Our Oceans. Alan Cumming repeated as Best Reality Host for The Traitors, and Conan O'Brien won his Mark Twain Prize Special. White Lotus star Patrick Schwarzenegger and model Abby Champion finally tied the knot at a ranch in Idaho after a decade-long romance. The couple dated 7 years before Patrick proposed in 2023, sharing a beachside Instagram moment captioned quote-unquote forever and ever. Their big day follows their engagement last year. Taylor Swift has launched 3 Target exclusive CD editions of her upcoming album, The Life of a Showgirl. Each edition features an alternate cover along with a double-sided poster unique to the release. These exclusives follow a web store pre-sale that quickly sold out, which included photo cards and jewelry instead of posters. And Netflix's upcoming historical action drama Last Samurai Standing, based on Imamura Shogo's novels, has added cast members and confirmed a November premiere. The series blends samurai legend with high-stakes drama. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gushingala and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Until then, stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.